Hiya Chris, always a pleasure to meet up with you. It's been far too long, and just a quick recap on the key points that we covered. Apologies for the delay, I was fluing since we did this session, and I've just got round to managing to catch up. So, pesky old accumulator 3 again, I'm afraid, and it's kicking in much later than it used to. We're looking pretty good at P5. It then starts to release a little bit too soon. Remember, accumulator 3 should be releasing incrementally from P6 onwards, and you can see as it does release, it just starts to pull the club out in front of you a little bit too much, closing that club face down and shifting the path over to the left. It also tends to coincide with excessive rotation, so it's almost like a chicken and an egg here. Which is coming first? Are we rotating through a little bit too quickly, or are we just rotating through a little bit too soon? In your case, it's a little bit of both, but obviously we're relating it to what accumulator 3 is doing as a reference point. So first thing we did was we spent a little bit of time with the right foot drawn back and positioned outwards more, so a little bit more flooring of the right foot. This is going to curtail the amount at which you can rotate through the golf ball. When you rotate through less, that gives the impression that there's a little bit more linear movement. When we look from face on, you're quite a lot of linear movement, but the rate at which you rotate outweighs it, unfortunately. So as we discussed, we use 5 as the unit. It's an irrelevant unit, but we used it anyway. It's something to get your head around. If you want to rotate at 5 and slide at 5, unfortunately what's happening at the start of your session is you're rotating at 10, sliding at 5. So it's not more hip slide. We need to calm the rotation down. We rotate less. 3 gets released later, and the club gets pulled less across us, allowing us to hit out for longer through the golf ball. A little bit more of an outward hit, and a little bit more of a curtailing of what the hips are doing in regards to the rotational aspect of the swing. We then saw some stuff through the ball, and light was dimming badly at this point. You can see there that the shaft bending to the left, overtaking rates a little bit too high, and what we talked about was trying to get the feel is that P8 and P9 are the same. So right arm and shaft hit parallel at the same time. Now, initially, that's not the position you arrived in on the bottom right. It's a position I've put you in. If we just take you back to where you were after your shot, you can see there that it's much better than it was. There's less rotation on the club face. There's less overtaking and moving the line of compression to the left. But what we want is, during the drill, is we want to really emphasize this. So the feel that you're after is where I'm going to move you to now. And you can see as I do this, it flattens out the left wrist more. It repositions the club face. And it realigns the line of compression. So we're trying to take everything to the extreme. Having said that, there's a lot of good things in your swing, but we just need to start sort of tweaking things here on the way through. So working a little bit on trying to control the rate of closure and the rate at which the swing is shifted to the left. At the end of your session, we saw a much better move. P5 looking good as before. Club tumbling out in front of you less than we saw at the start of your session. And then as we swing through, touch more of a hit out at the golf ball, and certainly less rotation on the club face on the way through, and a little bit less rotation. You see there the gap between the knees is starting to diminish a little bit, but not as good as what we see when you're doing your drills. So plenty of steel rod arm drills where you're at P8 and P9 at the same time. Plenty of work with the right foot, flared out more and withdrawn just a touch, just to calm down the rotational aspect from P5 onwards. Good luck with it, and I look forward to working with you again in the coming weeks. I'll forward you some dates today at some point. Well done.